So, welcome back to another episode of the Lookout Podcast. Appreciate you joining me because this is a special podcast. We're doing a Christmas special podcast with my older brother here, Kaleb Barrett. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, I kind of a short notice too, man. Got my first pipe that I guess I bought. You gave me my first pipe being a tavern pipe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Tavern pipe, a little tricky for this episode. I'll be out here in your grill.
Yeah,
We could share it.
yeah, that's right. That's what they were meant for.
Yeah, it's true, right? That's the origin. Big old clay pipe. For people who don't know, it's white and made out of clay. And, I mean, the thing is like long as your forearm, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep, there's a couple of ideas that taverns had them in order for their patrons to have a little bit of tobacco. It's like a nice gift to give, at the tavern after their meal. Give them a little tobacco. The bowls are real small. Tobacco is a rarity, and it was a really nice thing to have. And then those pipes would stay in the tavern, sometimes with your name on them. Other times they were shared, and since they were so long, they'd break the tip off for sort of old school sanitation. So you got a fresh pipe each time.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. And for people can kind of see it, if they are familiar with John Wayne, the movie The Quiet Man, I think, is pictured towards the beginning when they first walk in the tavern, I believe, above the fireplace.
Yeah, that's right. Good call. Yeah, very good. There's a little background.
A little background, yeah. So we're doing a Christmas special here. So, I like to try to do things more like the old school way of, I guess like entertainment. Like old school, especially like back in the day, it'd be like Bing Crosby, Fred Astaire, and all those. What was it? Rosemary Clooney, right? I think was the one in White Christmas.
Boy, you got me.
Yeah, I think it's Rosemary Clooney. I know it's Clooney, but hopefully I'm not butchering her first name. I believe it's Rosemary, but she was in White Christmas with Bing. She was like his love interest in the movie, and
Gotcha.
Her and her sister were the singers in the White Christmas.
Yep, just watched it the other night.
Yeah, it's so good, man. And I was thinking about the pipe because like there's one part where the general or Bing Crosby rolls in the general's Jeep, and he's got his pipe in his mouth, and he's like talking about like the general's like, oh, I can't I can't read it on my reading glasses, and Bing's like, yeah, I'm starting to play the trombone a little bit myself.
Yeah.
He's like got the
Holding
letter.
Holding it out there.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny part, but
Excellent part.
yeah, so how do we load this sucker? Just
Oh, so there's we'll probably have to have an episode about this because I could give you quite a tutorial, but it's called the 3-pinch method. You fill up the bowl loosely, just super loose, just like you're throwing it down into the bowl until it gets to the top. And then you pack it down with the tamper. It's the most important pipe smoker's tool, pipe tamper.
yeah.
So put the first pinch in. The some people call it the 3-pinch method. Other people call it the child's hand, the mother's hand, and the father's hand. Because each time you pack it down.
I should pack this in.
No, just let it fill it up to the bowl and then pack it down lightly. And then you draw on the end of the pipe. Make sure it's not completely clamped off. It shouldn't be like drawing on a collapsed straw. Air should move through it. Pretty good.
I think my pipe might be a 2-pinch pipe.
Just make it light and then just pack it.
Mini one.
No, pack it down with that right now.
Yeah, ready? Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Before I put the other one in?
That's right.
All
So
right.
you do the first pinch. You're getting it to the top of the bowl, then you pack it down to the bottom, nice and lightly.
Lightly right now?
Yep, all the way. Try to get it down there. Pretty good. Pretty light though.
Man, yeah, there's a lot of room in there.
Yep. So draw on it now. In the end. Yep. Sounds like it's moving air just fine. So
Yeah,
it should
taste
be.
it a little bit.
Yeah, if you're tasting it, you should probably pack it down a little bit more because it's drawing tobacco in through the stem.
Yeah. And then kind of the flavor of this tobacco goes back to our great-grandfather, who had a boys club called Bucky's Boys Club north of Chicago. And he was a big pipe smoker. And so from our youth, that was all our holidays, and just a lot of our youth was a lot of pipe tobacco smoke, and especially this kind of cherry flavor.
Yeah, man, can smell it right now. What you smell when somebody else is smoking the pipe is called the room note, and that's what our great-grandfather smelled like, was cherry tobacco. So if we were in, back in the 80s, if we were in a shop or the grocery store and somebody smelled like that, I'd look at our mom and be like, oh, Gramps is here. That's what we called our great-grandfather, and I'd be like, oh, yep, Gramps is here, and she'd just laugh because he wasn't there. Yep, looking good. Drawing it still, yep. Pack it down a little bit firmer, so firmer each time in progression. And then once you get to the third pinch, you got her.
That was the third pinch there?
Yep, that's perfect. That's fine.
Sweet.
Yep, there's a break-in period. We could go through. There's all kinds of pipe etiquette. It's really good stuff, actually. Old history, historical.
Yeah, and it's a social thing too, right? I mean, that's like I had that cigar with old Buck Lunick when he was on the podcast, and then now the tobacco for this podcast, especially being tobacco pipe, especially being a holiday kind of deal there.
Yeah, the Brotherhood of the Leaf brings people together. That's part of the tradition of tobacco, all the way back to where it came from in North America in native times.
Yeah, absolutely. And us, being part native ourselves, so kind of bringing it back that way a little bit too, to our roots, as it were.
Yep.
And then speaking of tradition, talking about the holiday tradition, we're here right before Christmas. It's kind of a rust episode. I appreciate you coming on because it's short notice, and I was planning on doing something. I was going to try to do something in a lookout, but life and stuff started all piling up, and man, time really flies as you're getting older. As people probably know who listen, or when people get it closer to, especially your 30s. I remember Bronson's dad, Carl, telling me his 30s were the fastest times of his life, like time-wise, went by in a blink, and I'm feeling it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I'm about to hit the 4-0 in February, and no doubt it went by in a blur, man.
Oh, man, so fast. You do so much, and that's what Carl said. He said he did more in his 30s than he did in his whole entire life, he felt like.
Yeah, that sounds like the wisdom right there. Absolutely.
A little side shooter. Look at that.
That's a pipe lighter built specifically for what you're doing right now.
Kind of long, slow draws or what?
Mm-hmm. Circle the bowl.
Oh.
Long, slow draws. There you go.
Yeah.
No inhalation. You're not inhaling pipe tobacco ever.
Yeah, so a little healthier practice that way, right?
Mm-hmm. Tamp it down right after you light. So what you did just right now, little interesting tidbit, that's called the charring light. That's why it went out. So you want to tamp it. So all you're doing is just tempering the tobacco, getting it ready to go. You pack it down one more time, and you're creating what's called a button. The button is it'd be like the cherry on the end of a cigar. You're getting a burning coal in a little coin-shaped cylinder that's going to move down the bowl. Yeah. And the packing moves that little button down the bowl. So that's why the pipe tamper is the most important tool that you got outside your lighter, because that's what keeps the button going down the bowl of your pipe. So if the smoke starts to thin out, if you feel like you're not getting much of a draw of smoke out of it, you use your tamper, draw on at the same time, and you get more smoke.
Well, it seems to be going all right.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Probably got to put a little more fire on the sucker.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, give her a little heat.
Alrighty. And then, coming back to the holiday thing, just like most folks familiar with the Charlie Brown Christmas, the Peanuts. And that was something we watched a ton because our whole family, especially the mom side, was really into the Charlie Brown, cartoons and everything really about it, and especially our Uncle Scott. So that was always a big staple in our household. And even at a young age, when he's talking about the commercialism, like I think he runs first into Snoopy, who's trying to win the contest, to get money.
Right.
And then his little sister who wants him to write a letter to Santa, and she's talking about 10s and 20s or something like that. And then he goes to get a Christmas tree, and it's just all this big, like, spotlights and events and fake trees and stuff. And they, going a little overboard on the commercialization and just like, right. And they're blowing it up on the cartoon, But going back to more the the family nature and the gathering part and kind of more the origin of the holidays,
Yeah, it goes deeper than deep for human civilization, all the way back to the time when, the Druid people, the ancient people, they were legitimately worried that the sun would get far enough down that it wouldn't return because it was getting darker and darker all the way till the winter solstice, which is on the 21st. And so for millennia, tribes, human beings, we've all had traditional times where we come together and have storytelling times, have gatherings. You're sharing food because food isn't as plentiful, especially in the northern latitudes. And then they deal with the light. They legitimately thought the light was going to go, so they were celebrating the light coming back, and that's where it all folds in together at this time of year. So no matter what traditions you have, what beliefs you have, it's still deep within your soul to celebrate the turning of the poles and the solstice and the coming back of the sun, the coming back of the light. That's where it's really positive. And it's hard. You're not getting as much vitamin D right now.
Yeah.
You're people definitely feel depression these times of year, so you have to find outlets, and that's where gatherings, holding traditions really helps. I mean, that's the way we've had to do it as a tribe since the beginning.
Well, yeah, and I think most of the gatherings, especially even us as kids, going over, other people's houses and, food and things that are getting brought along, and typically, like, the potlucks and stuff coming from small towns,
Yeah.
Like, those are the big things, these community events, and the whole town shows up for, like, basketball games and stuff, to bring the community together, whether you have kids involved or not,
Yeah, absolutely. Basketball, that's a great point, too. Like, the small communities in Montana, basketball is, an indoor gathering of your whole tribe of people, and you're supporting your tribe, your group of people against the other tribe, and it satisfies deep rooted parts of our DNA. And it if you think about it just from a chemical standpoint, your endorphins are going. It's like being more exposed to the sunlight that we need. It's sort of a synthetic way of doing that, but not. It's part of our DNA. It's our tradition.
Yeah, totally. And a way to check in on each other, because that was like the thing too, pre-phones and stuff, you had to go see people and check in, and especially on community gatherings, like, hey, how's things? How are you? And I think there's something there, somewhere in the back of your brain too, especially your own tribe. You're always like you got that worry going on, even if it's on the back of your brain, even if it's on the front, you're still like,
yeah.
So that's why it feels so good. I think part of it, is when you leave a group, you're like, oh man, all right, it's great to see them, man. They're doing great,
Yeah, the physical separation and then coming back together. It's a really valid point.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then, kind of part of, you're talking about the solstice stuff, like we're in the darkest days, of the winter here, creeping up on it until winter solstice, right?
Right.
And then, in the tribal times, especially I think, like the Irish folks, like the Celtic and Druid folks, where they're watching the sun, like, deeper in the horizon, like in the southern horizon, like further away from, as the days go on. And I feel like they were paying a lot more attention to those things,
Yeah, that's something, boy, in our modern world, we don't have to worry. We don't even think about it hardly much anymore. People don't hardly look and see where the sun comes up and where it sets anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or how you orient your house. I wanted to orient my house so that the sun would provide warmth for my home in the wintertime, and I had exposure to the sun for some free heat and also for that, free mood-enhancing light.
Beautiful vitamin D, yeah. I know, I was kind of more aware of it. I think when you get a house, especially if you're in the garden and more aware of like the heating aspect of your house, because, in the summer you want the cooling aspects. You think about the shades you have drawn in the summer, and then the winter, like with me in the garden, it's like, where are my vegetables going to get the most sunlight,
Yeah. Oh, and in the winter, you'll dang sure know if your driveway's in the wrong spot, because if it's in the shadow of your garage, that ice isn't going to go for the majority of the winter. That's going to be the hardest part to clear out for you. So,
yeah, absolutely. I got some dark spots that we have to deal with all the time. The last winter was we had a real long spell of no sunlight, and man, we had some thick ice that even I had bags of salt that weren't really cutting it.
Yeah, no, right, exactly. Yeah, so all part of it, whether you think you're paying attention to the sun or not. You probably should, and you probably are. You just don't even think about it,
Yeah, absolutely. And I forgot to point this out in the beginning, but got this lovely ornament from my friends at Idaho Fire Lookouts, Billy and Kat, and had lunch with them today. Great folks, and hand delivered that sucker for me, and for a good cause to help support Lookout Mountain Lookout, because I guess the cab's already being rebuilt. They're waiting to get some paint on it and try to get a helicopter ride back up to the top of the mountain. So they're helping raise funds and figure out where they can put the funds to help get that accomplished, save as many lookouts as we can, because they're falling apart. They're pretty old. Some are tickling 100 years old. So, and as anyone knows who's ever stayed in a lookout, I mean, they're amazing places on top of the world, literally, and there's no other experience like it.
Right.
So if we can save more of those, that's a good cause. That's a cool looking ornament. So if you guys are looking to fill the tree, kind of late in the year for it, because we're tickling Christmas, but yeah, so there it is. So I guess that, like, what Christmas kind of means to me, and I remember even like feeling this at a younger age too, is like not really like wanting the gifts, because especially that, coming with our family, who you could tell we were like dirt floor poor, but you could tell that like money was tighter, so you're like, I don't really need the gifts, like it's just nice getting everybody together and having some good food,
Yeah, I think Yeah, so what Charlie Brown was talking about, Charlie Schultz, that guy, he had a lot of wisdom in that movie. It definitely, I think it rings true in a lot of ways. And like you really alluded to, that it's heavily built upon the commercializing of the holiday. And he's inundated with all these stressors, all this money, all these things, like you said, all the fake trees and stuff. He finally goes and gets an actual tree. It's tiny.
Yeah.
Gets back to the Christmas play, and everyone makes fun of him, and he pretty much loses it, and he's at the worst, most stressful point of his life right there. And he is like, can anybody actually tell me what Christmas is actually about? And that's where, Linus chimes in. And for me as a kiddo, like really young, it was like the most wonderful point of that movie where it's like everything is heightened and stressed out, and then there's a pause in the movie, and there's an explanation of what Christmas is about. The lights hit Linus.
Yeah, you asked for it.
Yeah, lights please. And if you don't, a lot of people, I think, really appreciate that part. It's a special part of that movie, and it's the turning point, right? That turns. He understands the true meaning. Everybody then all their attitudes change. They build the tree up together. They're giving one another something to build something bigger, and then they celebrate at the end. And it's very poignant. I think you could get as deep as you want with it, but I think the simple fact is people coming together, the true meaning of Christmas. Like you said, the gathering and the food and the sharing of those items, I think, are more important than any monetary thing, any material.
Yeah. I totally agree. Like whatever gets the family together, like and gets people together, especially in those darker days. And I mean the Grinch too, like another. I mean, I know he's like kid stories, but they're what we grew up with, and Dr. Seuss was onto something there when the Grinch steals everything, and they don't even have a tree, and they're still gathering in the square where the tree was, or the tree should have been, and the same kind of deal as in the Charlie Brown Christmas, gathering up, still singing, still enjoying the day and celebrating it without all the things.
Yeah, same materialism, same deal, same wisdom. Yeah. It shows, and I think that's the beauty of watching those movies and having family traditions is the reminder, like, it's not all about material stuff. It's not about money, whatever. It's about getting together, doing something for someone else that maybe doesn't even involve an item, a gift, maybe even not recognition, doing something to help somebody out. Maybe they don't even know you've done it, kind of deal too. That's kind of nice to think about as well, So I think, like you said, Dr. Seuss, Charlie Schultz, they were men of extreme wisdom, and they definitely played that out within their stories for people to see, especially as a kid, very impressionable. The Grinch takes every material thing out of the whole town, every bit of it, and they're still celebrating the next day. He couldn't take the celebration away. Yeah. So, and then he realizes it, and then he about wrecks it all, and grows a heart 3 times, 10 times, whatever.
10 times, plus 1 or something like that.
Yeah, lifts the whole sleigh up, turns it around, brings it all back into town.
Yeah, man. Yeah, great stories, man. I think important to keep that message going with the giving. I mean, that's part of when to bring you in here, and I'm glad you volunteered for it to share the story, man. And like I said, referring to like Bing Crosby, and I'll say it was Rosemary Clooney. God dang, what you can remember. But Danny Kaye was in White Christmas, and just those kind of deals where, like, if you're in the entertainment kind of business, which is like podcasting and everything, it's I don't know, you get to kind of help share the joy of the year with your listeners and with your fans, like in Bing Crosby's case,
Yeah, celebrating it,
celebrating
the fans, celebrating his life.
Yeah, and keeping a good message going of like we're all in this together, and like with the fire community, we're one big yet small feeling family. It's the weirdest thing because it's like, I think I looked it up one day, it's over 10,000 just Forest Service alone, and let alone like every state has their own fire crew, DNRC for Montana, and it's like Idaho. I think Idaho has like a different name. I'm blanking on it right now, but the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, and then CAL FIRE. But so it's like 10,000 is just like part of that bigger group. But man, you get all these fire folks together, like fundraiser coming up is Fire on Ice, Forest Service versus the city fire department, and another really good gathering spot. So Yeah, like just keeping the tribe going, like
Yeah.
you said, man, and then giving people something to look forward to, and hopefully like a Christmas special like this, and then other things like the Forster's Ball's coming up in the beginning of February.
Yeah.
The Fire and Ice tournament for hockey's on February 10th. I'm going to do an interview again with CJ, I believe, and Clint to advertise that. And then the Putt and Pull is in March, I believe. So got a few events to come in so people can pencil those in their calendars. Stay active, stay involved. That's like one of the bigger things I notice that helps me is just like, holding up I don't think helps anybody,
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, you're not... That's part. I think we're kind of hinting at like our human makeup, and we're social animals. We're definitely tribal people. We're herd beings. There's no doubt, and you thrive better being around that group of people. The people that are like-minded, whatever, do the same things you do, enjoy certain activities. Whatever, and you're obviously going to prosper better with those people in your corner too. It's a lot harder to get something done completely by yourself than with your whole tribe. You get everybody together, you're going to accomplish more. There's going to be way more creativity. Like people bounce, and all it takes is one brainstorming session, and you realize, holy cow. It is so much better when we bring in different angles, and then all of a sudden the product is that much bigger because you've brought in so many different ideas, and all it takes is one little spark, and then boom, everybody's got an idea. Yeah. And it's always going to be a different angle than yours. And once you take your own ego out of that, you realize, whoa, like my angle isn't maybe entirely the best angle, or it initiated the trajectory, and then everybody else's idea really added to that.
Totally.
It's beautiful.
Oh, it's awesome. Like I said, taking the ego out and everything. I said earlier, I had lunch with the Idaho Fire Lookout folks, and it's only the second time hanging out with them. We hung out at the Forest Fire Lookout Association meeting we had they had this summer, and they invited me to come talk and hang, and man, it was great. Great to meet those folks, and I've met them for the first time, and a bunch of other enthusiasts about lookouts. And like you said, I even got some ideas, and that was just brief, and I was more focused on talking. So really, it's focused on like, picking the brain of other people, right. and chopping it up. But today it was cool because I didn't expect much. I just went to go have lunch with those guys, and then we started kind of just throwing around a few little ideas, more like in passing, like, oh yeah, actually, like we talked about doing a book club because Kat had a bunch of books she was like recommended me, and then we were talking about The Great Burn. I'm like, oh man, you're actually the second person this week that's recommended The Great Burn to me. I'm like, I really got to read that book.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna order that
something
tonight.
to that too, right?
Yeah. So it's like, Kat was talking about another book, and I was like, we need a book club, and she's like, yeah, let's do it. So
nice.
Yeah, like she's got a big library, so she's gonna kind of spearhead it, I think, and nice. Billy, is her kind of counterpart there in the Idaho Fire Lookout group, and so we'll get together and get something cool, and we're gonna maybe run on this podcast and start talking about the books, and then and then do like a breeze over on the book after we give folks like a few weeks to read them or whatever, and then tie back in and talk about whatever book it is, and
it's bringing everybody together right there too.
That's true.
Knowledge sharing, and then everybody's interpretation is different on the book. That's the beauty of it, man. Like everybody's, you read the word and your interpretation, the voice, you always have a narrator. It seems like I do in my head as I'm reading the book. Everybody's narrator is different too. That's so good too.
It is, yeah. Like to get the ego out of it. When I first started the podcast, part of the reason why I was calling it the Lookout Podcast, because I thought it was more like broad stroke versus like Smoke Jumper Podcast or Firefighter Podcast or whatever. It was more my background. It was 16 plus years, I think, of fighting fire, so it's like, but I didn't want it to be so one-dimensional, and I was really interested in lookouts and the preservation of them, because we lost one on the BRD during like my first couple of years there. Jack Mountain went away. I don't really know what happened to it. Hopefully it got saved somewhere, but seeing that sucker go away and like kind of sparked the interest in me then. I was like, whoa, because a lot of things in the Forest Service seemed like they weren't going away, like they'd been there forever, and then seeing that happen, I was like, oh no.
Permanent structures. Yeah, like you would think would never go, Well, how long was the Ambrose Point there?
Yeah, still there. You just can't see it.
Yeah, poor guy's laying down. Yeah. I mean, it's there. You can go find it.
Yeah,
I went and found it with my little boy. It was a great little trip, and a world-class bull rider, actually, on a random, total spur of the moment trip with the Jeep. Just walked up to the point. It was cool. It was cool to see it.
It was cool, yeah. And you kind of got to know a decent area of where you're looking and have a good idea of where a lookout might be. We were talking about that today with like Billy and Kat. Like, there's some spots where they go in the woods where they know it's in the area. They don't know exactly where, so they got to kind of figure, like, where would I put one? And he had a story where he's standing right underneath one, but he's looking at this other tree, and then Cat, like, yelled, like, oh, there it is, and scared the jeans off him almost, because they saw a bunch of wolf sign coming in, so they're like, oh,
yeah, on edge.
Gave him a heart attack. Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's right below it,
Yeah.
So it's easy to pass him up.
Dang right. That's why the Ambrose one
I was
is.
just gonna say,
Like you got to be on top of it to find it, because it's plumb laying down. That's part of the fun too, is finding it.
And if you know what you're looking for, you just be like, that's a weird stack of sticks.
Yeah, I happened to see one standing log. It looked like a broke off tree, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I got to walk over there. And the other fellow with us, he's like, you sure? I'm like, well, it's worth walking over there. We've gone to the highest point. We've gone around to open areas. It's got to be in here somewhere. We're right on top of it. And with the help of like Onyx Off-Road, that kind of deal, is helping us find it. But
yeah, Onyx is a great tool.
Oh, man. And sure enough, and that's the whole reason we were looking for it, because it came up on the map. We just happened to be driving by it. Yeah. And I knew because of your podcast, I'm like, oh, man, lookouts are a cool thing. He had no idea. He's from the Dakotas, so he'd not been out in the mountains or anything, so it blew his little guard to go up there.
Yeah,
great guy. Up for anything.
So
he was like,
cool.
yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So we went for a rip. My boy, 6 years old, walked up there barefoot, up and down. He doesn't like shoes, so that's his deal.
Yeah, I don't really like shoes either, but for that hike, I would be definitely wearing them.
That's his meditation, man. Yeah. That's his journey.
To get out there and, get in touch with earth, a little bit of grounding.
Yeah, a little grounding.
Yeah.
I dig it. I like it. Mm-hmm. Just not that much.
No, yeah, not as much. I barefoot around the house and stuff, and wince when I get on a sharp blade of grass.
Yeah.
I got wimpy feet.
Oh, man.
They're so soft.
Catch a Lego in the middle of the night or a rubber dinosaur.
Oh, man, yeah, it'll make you rethink some things in life, like not having slippers.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, man, that, like you said, these groups, man, they're big, and just that alone was originally, like, part of the thing. Me and you had talked about it before. I think I even got the first episode launched, and was just like doing something like that was like, it was kind of off. I didn't even notice it. Was part of the podcast, and was getting folks interested in going and checking out these sites, because like you said, you can find them. Onyx has a lot of them on their maps, and
go online. You can see pictures of what they used to look like. Places I didn't realize places were just camps at one point.
Yeah, just tent camps.
Yeah, just a little tent camp that was the lookout. Yeah. That blew my gourd.
With a portable alligator firefinder. Usually they cut off a tall tree that was like, some little bit over waist high, or maybe closer to, a little between waist and chest, because you don't want to be like totally killing your back looking over the alligator, which is the firefinder. And it's this, map on a turntable. And it's got a sight so you can lock in a fire and be pretty damn accurate of like how close it is within like I think a couple yards. I think they're that accurate.
That's for a rudimentary device. That is outstanding.
Yeah, and it is, man. It's so cool, man. The Osborne Firefinder, or Alligator, I think is the
look that up,
names.
folks.
Yeah, if you want to check it out, it's cool. And a lot of old lookouts that you can rent and still have them in there. But they had like a smaller one you can like for those tent camps, and damn, those guys were so badass, man. Like there's a few gals doing it back then too, just super cool. But they would usually, like, sometimes they do it in a pair, especially if it was like husband wife, and like she'd spot the fire, hold down the lookout, and then he'd go put it out, and then if it was only by himself, which a lot of the time was the case. There's even a movie about it. Dude would go roll out, and actually his family was living at the lookout with him, and it's cool. It's like, and there goes Ranger John or something like that. And wife kisses him goodbye, and he goes and it's like a blaze that he's battling in his jeans and like a button-up T-shirt or something.
This is like one of these old like black and white newsreel type films.
Yep, yeah.
Like you would see World War II.
Exactly.
Holy.
Yeah, old school.
With the high pitch announcer.
Yep,
that's great.
And here goes John, and he gets around the fire, and has to stay on it for a while, make sure it's out, and hikes back to the family, waits for the other one or another one or something. It's great. I wish I could remember the name of that film.
It's got to be on the YouTube somewhere. Be able to find it. That's outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably not that many films out there. You probably just, like I said, just Google or YouTube. Old lookout film.
Yeah,
it'll probably come up. But yeah, it was great, man. But yeah, like, so kind of to your point there about like building your tribe and just finding more people and not having the ego, like when I first started this thing, I didn't know because I didn't have any social media at that point in my life. I got away from all that stuff and wasn't really doing any research on it. I just like had some downtime and for my tumor, and I was always interested in doing a podcast. And I told the story a bunch, but I was up in Willow with Tanner, and he had all that recording equipment, and I was like, man, this would be a great spot. And then that's how I came up with the name. didn't know any other podcasts existed. I didn't even know about Anchor Point podcast, which has been around for a little while now, and it's a really big podcast now for fire folks. Guy does a great job, and but I was like, oh well, shoot, might as well throw another one in the mix, and then come to find out there's quite a few like similar podcasts out there, just like the Idaho Fire Lookouts. They're not really podcasts; they do interviews, but they have they post a bunch of cool stories and stuff about going and looking for lookouts, which is what I originally talked about doing, was like using an excuse to take the family up and do a family adventure, especially go up the West Fork. There's, quite a few out there, and a ton in Idaho, man. It'll surprise you. I mean, there's some out there, and I think there's a cool one out in like Vermont or New Jersey. Like there's one that looks like a castle somewhere out in like Delaware or something. I can't remember where it is, but
is that right?
Yeah, it's really cool.
They're everywhere. It doesn't matter, like the Dakotas, whatever.
Georgia.
Yeah, there's lookouts.
Yeah.
In every state across our whole
pretty much
the whole North America.
Little tin can towers are like way up there, but this little tin can, man, it'd be hot days if you had to be up there.
Gnarly. And those storms when they come rolling up over the top of the mountain, wind shearing and pressure systems being squeezed out by the mountain. That'd be heavy.
Especially up in St. Mary's. That one gets hammered by wind.
Sheared off there. All the blowdowns and the microbursts that are in this region. Ooh, man, I wouldn't like rattling around up in there.
No, you think that'd be a high severity spot for microbursts, because like you said, you get the wind coming out of the west shearing off, and depends on if you diurnal wind. I can't remember what it is at the end of the day. The heat's going up, I think. I'm trying to think of heat's rushing down. No, heat's going up, in the beginning of the day. At the end of the day, heat's going down, or the wind's going down, Wind's going up in the beginning of the heat of the day. I'm explaining that like crap, but so like when you have that rise.
Thermals,
and then you have that wind coming off, that shear. I mean, that's got to cause some kind of downdraft that's pretty heavy, whether it be a microburst or just a nasty downdraft, because that's what we had to worry about with smoke jump, was getting the lee side of a ridge, because that's usually where you'd find your down there, and
sending you down in a hurry.
Yeah, if you guys got slammed in and
lose all your lift, game over.
Broke ankles, broke backs, hips, femurs. That's when the bad stuff happens.
Yay.
I had this old boy warn me. I think his name's John Spencer. He's a teacher and a smoke jumper, and he'd been doing it for a while. And when I first met him, and he's like, it's broke both ankles, and I think he broke his hip or something. Like, he had a laundry list of accidents, and I'm like, I haven't had a fire jump when I first met this guy, but he gave me the warning of like, when you get up air, there's always down air. So stay in the up air until you can kind of like edge your way off of it, because a lot of guys will try to fly away from it, and then you find your down air, and then you don't have enough time to do anything, because you don't have enough air to really do anything. So you just get hammered down.
Use your elevation.
Yeah.
Use it.
So I caught some up air right after that conversation, pretty much, and was in California, and I was like, I jumped out of the doorknob or dornier, the little goofy looking, I guess, French plane, and
beautiful.
Yeah, got a goofy little door in it, and the thing cruises, but I bailed out of it, and then I could see my rookie bro in the door waiting for me, and I caught up air, and I was like eye level with the plane for a long time, because I just was like riding it out. I was like, well, here I am, and then finally I kind of went to the edge of it and like slowly went down, because I stayed pointed into the up air and just kind of worked my way off the.
Like stepping down a ladder.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool to visualize it. You don't see it, but that's what you're literally in, a column of air.
Yeah, a column, exactly.
And you have to work your way off of the edge of it.
Yeah. And
would have never thought about it that way.
Yeah, because you get that column going up, and you get another column going down somewhere in the area, really close.
Yeah.
So I just kind of stayed pointing into where I wasn't getting it, because I didn't have it at first, and then like a little bit of breeze pushed me back into that up air, and then I went up like an elevator. So like I was trying to work my way back to where I knew there wasn't down air, So like I just kept pointing that way, and which was happened to be over the damn jump spot, because I was coming in perfect. It's like, oh, I'm nailing this. And then a little gust pushed me back, and then that's the problem with the round, is you don't have that forward drive like you do in the Ram Air that they're jumping now. So
sure,
no, not as much of a problem when you're on the Ram Air. You can just kind of fight through it.
Sure, yeah, it sounds like way more control, way more drive.
Yeah,
with the Ram Air.
Totally, man. I think they're a little better performance, and a little bit more on you as the pilot.
Yeah, it's true. I'm sure that comes with that's a double-edged sword, like anything else. It handles better, but a Ferrari also gets you in a hell of a wreck if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's exactly the terminology I was told when I first got into it, was like the round's like your old reliable truck. Like not gonna be issues. It always opens up.
Yeah,
you're not gonna really get in a bad wreck if you do wreck, but the Ferrari, like you mess up and it's user error, especially hauling ass,
Yeah.
which happens easily with that system.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
But the more time you get on it, the more things you can do. You know, like my buddy Mikey P, who he was like out of the jump spot, like it was a big hole in the timber, and he could see the story from the guys in the jump spot. And my other buddy Sam Cox was telling me the story, and I can't remember who was telling me the story, but Sam Cox comes back to the story. But the jump spot got kegged up, and he was the last guy on stick, which is like the usually two people go out the door called a stick. Sometimes you got 4-man stick where it's 4 people. Maybe it was a 3-man stick, I'm not sure, but either way he got kind of boxed out of the spot, because that's the problem about being the last guy out, is you got to wait for the guys in front of you to go in. Otherwise, you're going to run into each other and you have a real bad time, mid-air collision, which is real bad.
Yeah.
So he's waiting, and then it looks like he's not going to make it. So usually it's like, well, I'm going to fail altitude, so I'm going to, you're always like planning your plan B, and so like, and I hate to be telling his story, but the way I got told it was pretty funny, that he disappears under the timberline, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere he pops up over the timberline and comes into the spot. And like I heard the story while I was on a fire. I was on a fire in Idaho, and they're like telling me like this, this story about this incredible jump that Mikey P did, and I'm like, man, I mean, like I know he's good, he's an athlete too. Like, man, like, but how did he get that parachute to do that? So like, I'm talking to a few folks, and Sam Cox is there too, and I'm like, what happened? And like Sam was kind of more in passing. He just kind of leans in the conversation. He's like, magic. I was there. Magic.
Yeah.
And just kept cruising. I'm like, I can't argue with that, man. Like that's probably what it was. And Sam's like this really even keel guy.
Yeah,
like
pure magic.
Yeah, it's like, I was there, man. It's the only way to explain it. I was like, damn. But somehow he ripped a pretty good right hand toggle turn, I think is what it was, which is like pulling your right hand all the way down, and got enough speed to gain enough like speed, I guess, to get some elevation, get enough air underneath the wing, and drive it up.
Slingshot.
Which is not designed to do that.
No.
So
yeah, it's not a. Yeah, I mean it's a wing.
It's a wing, but yeah, it's more designed to get you to earth, not to get up in air. So
elevation. Yeah.
Not elevation. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So I'm hoping I get him on it someday. He's got great stories, man. He's been jumping a long time, and I want to get him on to pick his brain, especially about that jump.
Oh yeah, you gotta. There needs to be a specific episode about the magic jump.
Yeah, the magic jump. That's a good way to call it. But yeah, man, and just so it's like more of that kind of tribe stuff, just like the jumper community and the fun stories, and anyone who's like interested in being in the outdoors and getting into a real cool group of folks, man. Like Wildland Fire and any kind of outdoor agencies is a good thing to get into, especially if you're passionate about like whether it be fish or birds or wildlife biology, where you get to kind of deal with all the wildlife, and get to do some cool things.
Yeah, just being outside is sometimes all the therapy you need. Just be outside, just be quiet in nature. Sometimes just listen to what's happening around you. Like the people did before us. Some people, that's our greatest church out there. We're talking about Christmas time right now, and sometimes that's it doesn't matter. Whatever faith you have, you can be out and be closer. For me personally, that's my chance to be closer to God. And this time of year, really the light for me is, we're celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, and that's Christmas to me. That's what Linus is saying in that movie.
Yeah.
And that's our spiritual faith. The beauty is this time of year encompasses all these faiths together. That's the beauty too. Everybody can celebrate their faith. I think we need that more in the world than ever, is that coming together of love and understanding for everybody's faith. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Christmas is love. This time of year is love. That's what it should be all about.
Yeah.
We're talking about everybody's faith, And so for me personally, it's Jesus is the light, and that's the beautiful analogy that the people way before, they think Jesus was born in the springtime, the historians and the people that have gone way back, but there was a lot of wisdom to the people that were kind of the religious leaders at the time, saying, we need a bit of light during this darkness. And, of course, they were helping the Druids kind of make their way over,
pagan,
and the Celts and the pagans and those ever the face. Yeah, they were smart about it. But at the same time, there's a lot of wisdom there. There's a lot of enlightenment there. Like, bring light forward when the light is fading.
Yeah. Bring your family and loved ones in closer.
Yeah,
You know?
bring the light together. And the light,
Yep.
if you really want to think about it, with your internal journey, when you're knowing thyself, that's I think one of the main points, obviously, of the spiritual journey is knowing thyself. That's where the inner light exists. So you look inside that light, and the light is, you figure that out. You just said it. The light is among all the people around you, your family, the ones who've come before you, and they're sharing the light. Like we've got our kids now, so the mindset changes entirely. Like now, the next generation for you, me, our youngest brother, we all have the next generation coming along, and man, like the holidays change. It's pure magic right now.
Yeah, it
like
is, man.
my kiddos are so excited about it. My wife and I get way more enjoyment out of this time of year now. And then I'm also required to think about, man, what were my traditions? What did we do? What were some of the goofy things? But I thought they were goofy as I got older. But, man, those are actually super cool. Like, we're still burning letters and sending them up to Santa out of the chimney. The boys think it's the coolest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that's the beauty. It's nice, too. Every season, every year, the older I get, time goes faster. I start to lose track at what does this actually mean? And then all you got to do is watch the Peanuts one time. Watch, It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, it's another
hits me
beautiful classic.
Real hard. I told Dad, I'm like, that movie hits me harder every year that I'm alive. Every year. Man. It's like, I had tears in my eyes last year, and I'm like, what? Whoa, I'm getting hit really hard. I know this story. I've watched it a million times.
Yeah.
But you just start to realize, poor George had everything taken away from him at all times until he was at the end of his rope, and he didn't even realize what he had.
Yeah, every time he get a little bit ahead, someone would knock the feet out of him.
Every time he was getting ready to step on the train, get on the boat, get on the plane, he was just going to go live that dream. But here again, maybe the deeper message is that was maybe a selfish dream. He was going to go on his own time, go play, and I still want George to do that. I'm still hoping he's doing that right now. I hope he got his life back on track. The building alone, Harry's taking it over right now, and George is out traveling.
Yeah,
he's doing his thing.
Monster suitcase.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that he can use like a boat.
Yeah.
But, that I think that's maybe the deeper message is he was looking to do that, but he was changing his whole community by being there, his whole community.
And caring about something bigger than himself.
Yeah, and they all came back around. And, obviously the evil entity there, Potter is trying to gobble everything up, and he's standing in his way. So there's many analogies in that movie. David and Goliath, good, bad, all that. Like, and the way he rallies people around him is Potter wants everything. He also wants everything that you have and that we have too, and we're the only thing standing in his way. And I love the scene when the engineer comes in and is showing him all the plans of what used to be just a dead field with a cemetery next to it. And he said, I used to hunt rabbits out there myself as a kid, but now look at all these perfect little homes, and your Potter's field is just becoming that, Mr. Potter, a field, and everybody's moving in, and these geniuses have homes that are worth twice what they have into them. So they're building this amazing community, this amazing wealth. And he says, well, Mr. Potter, no skin off of my back, but this engineer might be working for the Baileys here pretty soon.
Yeah, totally. And you get to see the difference, right? Of like when you bring everybody up with you, like you kind of mentioned earlier, like doing it together, you get to see the difference in the community, because you get to see like how it was when George Bailey was, out there helping the people, and then when there's no George Bailey exists, then Potter takes over, and it's just like everyone's miserable.
Yeah, everybody. Chaos, misery.
Yep. All his friends are doing bad,
Yeah. Not married anymore.
Yeah.
Don't have kids. Whatever.
The pharmacist is, wrecked because he poisoned that.
Yeah, he's just an old drunk.
Yeah, person. Yeah.
His life is destroyed.
Martini's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what a great movie.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, you watch it.
Yeah, check it out. Tonight. Yeah, because I'm gonna try to get this out tomorrow morning or maybe late this evening. So this will be one of the quicker turnarounds. But yeah, maybe I'll hit that real quick. So like, It's a Wonderful Life, The Original Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah.
White Christmas, Holiday Inn, and I guess Holiday Inn's not really as much of Christmas, so maybe we'll scratch that one off the list.
Yeah,
so,
White Christmas is definitely better.
Yeah, White Christmas. I'm trying to think what the Peanuts, the Charlie Brown Christmas, The Grinch, of course. And I'm trying to think what else. What other
Christmas
staple?
Vacation.
Christmas Vacation is solid.
There's a lot of morals in that.
Yeah. Oh
story, too.
man. Yeah.
The wife hates that movie.
And
I
just
love it.
The never-ending Christmas spirit and never give up. You know, like it's.
That's the moral of that story.
Yeah.
That guy, never-ending Christmas spirit.
Yeah, man.
He's eternal Christmas spirit.
Yeah, it's so good.
Love it.
Like, yeah.
Pure positivity at all times.
Yeah.
Never quits.
Yeah,
Well, not at all times. But he stubs his toe a few times, but he comes back around.
Yeah. He goes bananas for a quick sec, but I mean, he's taking a lot on. But man, yeah, just like no matter what was happening, he's taking everybody in. You know, like the whole family's there. And won't let him leave at one point.
Right. Yeah. They have invaded his home with everything. Cousin Eddie's out there.
Putting sewer juice into his
best guy.
Into his drain.
That's the best guy. I've known a few people to meet their relatives at the airport dressed up like Cousin Eddie's cigar and everything.
Oh, it's so good.
That's where I wish I had like in-laws from way out of town because I would 100% do that.
Yeah,
with my old 65 pickup, I'd like just roll up there with that old fire engine pickup.
Yeah.
With a cigar and a rabbit hat and my wife's house coat on.
Oh, it'd be perfect.
It'd be perfect.
Oh yeah, it'd be awesome. Some slippers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that one's definitely in there. I'm trying to think what another staple of the old Christmas. Man, Christmas Story. That one's just kind of always on, but
yeah,
that one's a great one too.
Yeah, that one's worth absolutely watching.
Yeah, I think that's about all I got. You got anything? I missed anything?
No, that's it. The boys, the new ones like Prep and Landing. That's those are great.
Those
actually,
are great,
I really like those a lot. Yeah, I think that's about it. Tim Allen did a good job as Santa Claus.
I was just say, the Santa Claus ones are all right.
Yeah, they're all, they're good.
Yeah,
I'll watch them.
A little bit lower down the list, but yeah.
Yeah, that's in the JV squad.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Wonderful Life, like you said. Though it's getting harder to watch. Yeah. But that's also kind of like similar with the story of the Charlie Brown Christmas, where it's just like building and building and building, and finally like can't take it. It's like, man, that's not what the holiday's supposed to be about, man.
Yeah, he's overwhelmed until Linus says, "Hey, can anybody tell me what the meaning of Christmas is?" And Linus, chill as ever. I can tell you.
Yeah.
Lights, please.
Lights, please. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best part.
Yeah, totally. And then Clarence has to give old George a hard reboot, but yeah, that's a great part though there. Yeah.
No, that's the morals. I think that's the beauty. I think that's why those stories, those movies are timeless, because it brings you right back into, no matter what, you're going to be inundated with the commercial world. It is what it is. And you want to get, that's part of it. You want to get nice things for people. You want to do good things.
Yeah. You
want to have a heartfelt gift for someone, and that's hard to do sometimes too. You really something from your heart that means something that they can use. I'm a utilitarian. I want, what can somebody use?
Yeah, same.
What's a purpose to something? And so when you sit down, actually take the time, build a fire in the fireplace, sit down, relax, take a breath, and watch the movie, you realize, whoa, okay. It kind of recenters you again, That's the thing. Same thing for having a pipe. My man Steve Harvey, love you, dude. He talks about, somebody asked him why he smokes cigars, and he's in his trailer. And that dude, if you know anything about him, he's the hardest working dude probably that's out there.
Yeah, Steve Harvey from Family Feud, and what was the comic? Oh man, he's in the big comic movie with Cedric the Entertainer. And,
that's right.
That was a great one.
Yeah, Steve.
Kings of Comedy.
That's right, the Kings of Comedy. That's right.
Great,
excellent. Yeah. But the dude is a genius, hardworking guy. Yeah, pipe cigars, they're probably not, they're not health staples for you. They're definitely less harmful. You're not inhaling this. It doesn't have all the fillers, all the nastiness. But they roll up on Steve's great video of him. And he's like, why do I do this? And he takes a puff, and he's like, yoga. Takes another puff. He breathes in, breathes out. That's his meditation. And everything I've ever read about like cigars, pipes, or anything like that, for people that want to just take a break, adults that are in this grind where you're just, your mind is going a million miles an hour, there's that 1 hour span with a pipe or a cigar where you can just sit down and just meditate, put your phone away, put the world away. Just meditate a little bit. Get your blood pressure down. They actually say when you have a pipe or a cigar, your blood pressure comes down because you're chilling out. You're meditating. You're in a breathing exercise. There's some pipe smokers, some really cool guys. There's a guy named Alan out there. Hope you're still out there, man. I think he's in New Zealand. Great accent. And he's like, he demonstrates pipe smoking with what he calls vipassana, which is like a yoga breathing, which is it's awesome, into his pipe, and he has a great video of it. It's awesome. So I think, and the Brotherhood of the Leaf, right, all the way back to native times, sharing the pipe in a council brought everybody together again, and you were forced to, like, if you didn't want to be there, like a kid that's pouting or whatever, or an adult that, I don't want to go there, you were forced to have to come into the council and reconcile some differences, put together your ideas, maybe realize, my idea isn't exactly as different as that other guy, and then just maybe sit and be quiet for a little bit. Especially in native councils, there wasn't a lot of talk. You sat there, you smoked, you passed the pipe. Sometimes you had your own pipe. There was just a lot of people with their own personal daily pipe. Wasn't a ceremonial thing. You sat and kind of were quiet for a little while. You listened to your elders. You chimed in if you were called upon. You didn't, there wasn't just a bunch of blabbing going on. So I think there's, it's beautiful. This time of year, I think you're dead on to sit down and have a pipe with you here. At this time of year, it really centers me back into, it's like, man, this is what it's all about. You're living one time. I hate to use the YOLO thing, but it's true. Yeah. You get to live one time. You should soak in the beautiful parts of our world.
Yeah, totally, man. And like you said, doing something like this reminds me of just like taking that pause for a minute and like remembering like the reason the reason behind the holiday. Not just the gifts and stuff, which, like you said, though, there's a place for it, because, like, giving your kids something, or somebody who needs, especially someone who needs something,
that feels great to do that.
Yeah, like with our grandma when she's still alive, like most of the time it was just getting her, new clothes, or sweater, shoes, whatever, like that she needed, and, like she really appreciated it.
Yeah. Well, I told the people at work, our granny, from the time that we were alive, she lived to be 102. She gave us socks and underwear every Christmas. Yeah, and I'm telling you what, right now, I miss that, because I got a bunch of holes in my underwear, and I got mishmash socks everywhere. Yeah. And Granny always gave us socks and underwear. Now I miss it, because I don't have it.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And I needed it. I legitimately needed it. So.
Yeah, it was a good timing thing, like you're like either growing or blowing out your old everything. So it's nice to have all, new run of everything. And then usually your pajamas and, stuff like that, or sweats or something, so like get to re-up on that kind of stuff that you don't really think about all the time. I got some blown out sweats too, and I've had since college, so warm-ups for track. Mm-hmm. But yeah, shoot, man, well, that's probably a good thing to end her there, and just hope everyone has a great holiday. Spread the love, spread the cheer, love conquers all,
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays to everybody. I hope you're enjoying the season. Let there be light.
Yeah, and New Year's right on the corner, so, start, off a chance to start over new year, new you, all that good stuff that's, kind of commercialized itself, but also, like, something to it,
There's a lot to it. The sun is brand new. The poles are switching again. It's a brand new season. It's brand new. The people that farmed back in the old days, they're already thinking about farming, so it's time to plant the new crops in your soul.
Yeah. Start off new. It's you're never too old. It's like a message I keep hearing from older successful folks is sometimes they didn't get that success until they're in their 50s.
That's right.
Or later. Yeah, so it's like you're never too old to do something new, try something new. So
yeah, we're going to talk about it in a different podcast, but
we'll do another one.
The development never ends. There is no you made it. The journey never ends. There's no destination. Just remember that. That's one of the best things I can say.
No beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.